Good morning. Today is Wednesday, July 2nd. I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. A jury has returned split verdicts in the federal sex trafficking trial of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. NPR's Anastasia Tsiolkas was in the courtroom in New York.
After 13 hours of deliberation, the jury found him not guilty of the most serious charges against him, including racketeering as well as the sex trafficking of two alleged victims, his former girlfriend, Cassandra Cassiventura, and a woman who testified under the name Jane on the stand. He was found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution, also known as the Mann Act. That charge carries a maximum penalty of 10 years per count. Anastasia Tsiolkas, NPR News, New York.
The multi-trillion-dollar tax cut and spending bill is back in the House after passing the Senate yesterday in a tie-breaking vote by Vice President Vance. One senator who was undecided until the last minute was Alaska Republican Lisa Murkowski, who voted yes. NPR's Deirdre Walsh says that Republican leaders changed the bill to appeal to Murkowski and win her vote.
They doubled a fund to help rural hospitals from $25 to $50 billion over 5 years. They made changes for nutrition benefits targeted just to help Alaska. Plus, Murkowski got a tax break for whalers. She called the decision agonizing. She said she didn't like the bill, but said she did what she thought helped Alaskans.
NPR's Deirdre Walsh reporting. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries says the bill does more than just leave some Americans less advantaged.
This dangerous and extreme Republican budget will result in Americans losing their lives because of the inability to access health care coverage.
House Republicans will talk today about how they plan to debate the bill again. States were supposed to receive federal education funds by yesterday's deadline. This is to get ready for the start of the next school year. But NPR's Sequoia Carrillo reports the Department of Education says it won't immediately release the expected funding.
On Monday, the Trump administration alerted state education agencies that it was withholding more than $6 billion in congressionally approved grants for schools. The funds are used for a wide range of programs, including to help educate English language learners, migrant children, and support before and after school programs across the country. Though the largest pot of money under review is for professional development and training for teachers. The money is frozen as the Department of Education conducts a review of the services provided. There is no timeline on when these funds could be dispersed. Sequoia Carrillo, NPR News.
Several attorneys general are suing the Trump administration over sharing the personal data of Medicaid recipients with the Department of Homeland Security. NPR's Jude Joffe-Block reports.
Federal health officials turned over sensitive data about Medicaid recipients from a handful of states to DHS. That's according to a report last month by the Associated Press. California Attorney General Rob Bonta, a Democrat, says that was illegal. The suit seeks to stop health officials from further sharing the data and to block its use for immigration enforcement. The Department of Health and Human Services says in a statement it does not comment on litigation, but last month it insisted the data sharing was legal and said it was part of a crackdown to ensure Medicaid funds are not subsidizing care for immigrants without legal status. Jude Joffe-Block, NPR News.
Gaza's health ministry says more than 400 people have been killed by Israeli forces while trying to reach food distribution sites that opened a month ago. NPR's Aya Batrawi reports aid groups are calling for an immediate end to the distribution system backed by the U.S. and Israel.
The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is receiving $30 million from the Trump administration, says its 4 sites are distributing aid safely and securely to people in Gaza. But 170 aid groups, including Amnesty International, the Association for Civil Rights Israel, B'Tselem, and others, issued a joint call for Israel to end that system. They say that under the UN-led system, Gaza had not 4, but 400 aid distribution points. Oxfam's policy lead in the Palestinian territories, Bushra Khalidi, says it's time to dismantle this quote, death trap.
Simply funding or backing this model, knowing the consequences, is not just irresponsible, it risks complicity.
Israel's military says it's examining incidents of shootings around the 4 sites. Aya Batrawi, NPR News, Dubai.
President Trump says Israel has agreed to a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza, and he told Hamas they better accept it. Trump told reporters he thinks the deal could come next week. That's when Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will visit the White House. NPR's Hadil Al-Shalchi has more.
In a post on social media, President Trump said that his representatives have had, quote, long and productive meetings with the Israelis. A person briefed by Israeli officials who couldn't speak publicly because they're not authorized to talk to the media said there will likely be an Israeli-U.S. agreement next week that will set the ground rules for entering ceasefire talks. But a ceasefire will not begin next week. Hamas did not immediately comment. The deal includes a 60-day ceasefire in exchange for Hamas releasing 10 living hostages, and the person briefed said that there will be a partial Israeli military withdrawal from Gaza. Hamas insists on guarantees to permanently end the war. Israel has only agreed to a temporary ceasefire. Hadil Al-Shalchi, NPR News, Tel Aviv.
The Supreme Court of Wisconsin has overturned a state law on abortion. It dates back to 1849. That had criminalized nearly all abortions. The Wisconsin High Court ruled the state law had been effectively repealed by newer laws passed by the state legislature. The decision means Wisconsin providers can continue offering abortions in that state. The parent company of 60 Minutes has struck a deal with President Trump to pay his future library $16 million. This is to settle his lawsuit over an interview last fall with then Vice President Kamala Harris. As NPR's David Folkenflik reports, Paramount Global's controlling owner, Sherry Redstone, had sought to settle the lawsuit as she tries to sell the company.
Legal observers interviewed by NPR say Trump's lawsuit was meritless, even laughable. But it mattered because the sale has to be approved by the Federal Communications Commission. Under Trump's pick as chair, the commission was reviewing CBS for so-called news distortion. Trump alleged election interference because 60 Minutes used two different parts of Harris's answer to a question on the Israel-Hamas conflict for two different shows. The executive producer of 60 Minutes and the president of CBS News and Stations left after arguing against any settlement or apology. Paramount paid to smooth the way for the deal, which includes Trump's legal costs. David Folkenflik, NPR News.
The spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhism, the Dalai Lama, has announced plans for his succession after he dies. This ends speculation that the centuries-old institution will end with him. NPR's Anthony Kuhn reports from Tokyo. The renowned spiritual leader will turn 90 this Sunday.
After meeting with other high-ranking monks in Dharamsala, India, where he settled after fleeing Tibet in 1959, the Dalai Lama said he will reincarnate because that's what Tibetan people want. A foundation under his office will handle the succession, he added, and nobody else is allowed to interfere. In Beijing, Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning said that reincarnations of high-ranking monks, including the Dalai Lama, must be approved by China's government. The process, she added, should follow religious rituals and historical customs and be handled in accordance with national laws and regulations. The concern is that Tibet may end up with rival Dalai Lamas, one recognized by the Chinese government and another by Tibetan exiles. Anthony Kuhn, NPR News, Tokyo.
This is NPR.